Once upon a time, there was a young African woman named Kamsi. She was the kind of wife who loved with her whole heart. If she cared about you, she cared completely. If she cooked for you, she cooked with joy. If she planned something for you, she planned it with all her strength. People always said, Kamsi loves too much, but she never saw it as a bad thing. She just believed that when you marry someone, you should give them the best part of yourself. And for 5 years, she had given Chaik, her husband, the best parts of her life. That morning, she stood in her small but warm kitchen wearing a simple house dress, stirring a pot of spicy jollof rice. The rich smell filled the whole room, and she smiled as she tasted a spoonful. "This is perfect," she whispered to herself. "Just the way Chaik likes it." She turned and checked the roasted chicken in the oven. It was golden brown, peppered, and juicy. She knew how he liked it. She remembered the first time she made it for him after they got married. He had eaten 2 full plates and still asked for more. "Ah, Kamsi, you want to kill me with sweetness," he had joked back then. Those were the days when things felt simple. When his smile made her smile. When coming home to her made him excited. When they talked for hours about their dreams. But recently, something had changed. Chaik had become quiet, distant, always on his phone, always traveling. Sometimes he would laugh at messages but lock his screen before she could even ask what was funny. Still, Kamsi tried her best to ignore the feeling in her chest. She always told herself, maybe he is just stressed. Maybe he has work problems. Maybe I should support him more. And today, she wanted to show that support. Chaik had traveled to Abuja 2 days earlier for a big business meeting. He had told her about it for weeks. "Kamsi, this promotion will change our life," he had said. "Please pray for me. I need everything to go well." She had held his hands and said, "It will go well. You are smart, and you work hard. They will see it." Now, as she packed the food into clean containers, she felt proud that she was doing something good for him. She placed the jollof carefully, added the roasted chicken, and wrapped everything in foil so it would stay warm. Then she walked to her bedroom drawer and took out a small black gift box. Inside was a silver wristwatch with a blue face. Chaik had talked about it for months but kept saying he didn't want to waste money on himself yet. Kamsi had saved little by little, hiding small amounts every week until she could afford it. She opened the box, stared at the shining watch, and smiled. "He will love this," she said softly. As she placed the box neatly inside a gift bag, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Chaik. "Reached Abuja safely. Meeting tomorrow. Very busy right now. Nothing else. No, I love you." No voice note. No call. She stared at the message for a long moment. Then she nodded, tucked her phone away, and whispered, "It's fine. I'll see him soon." She didn't tell Chaik she was coming to Abuja. She didn't tell her family. She didn't tell her best friend. She wanted the surprise to be special. She wanted to see the shock on his face. She wanted him to know she cared. By afternoon, she was at the airport with her food bag and gift bag. The sun was bright, and the air smelled like dust and fuel. She held the bags tight as she walked through the busy crowd. A woman sitting beside her at the waiting area noticed the smile on her face and asked, "You look very happy, my dear. Going to see someone special?" Kamsi laughed shyly. "Yes, my husband. I want to surprise him." "Oh, that is sweet. May the surprise be a good one," the woman said warmly. "Amen," Kamsi replied, still smiling. Inside the plane, she sat by the window and watched the clouds. Her mind filled with images. Chaik opening the door, his eyes widening, his arms pulling her close, his face full of joy. She imagined him saying, "Kamsi, you came all this way for me? My heart." She imagined the look on his face when he saw the wristwatch. She imagined him eating the jollof, licking his fingers, and saying, "This is why I can never leave home. Your food is heaven." The plane landed in Abuja late in the evening. Kamsi took a taxi straight to the hotel Chaik mentioned before he traveled. She had already checked in online and booked a room on the same floor. She held the food carefully on her lap during the ride. She didn't want it to spill. She didn't want anything to ruin this moment. "Madam, your husband go shoko," the taxi driver joked as he helped her take the bag out. She smiled politely. "That is the plan." The hotel lobby was quiet, with soft lights and the sound of slow music playing in the background. Kamsi signed in quickly, holding her bags close like they were treasures. Finally, she stepped onto the carpeted hallway of the hotel's 4th floor. The air felt cool, and her footsteps were soft against the floor. She checked the room numbers. 401, 403, 405. Her heart beat faster with each step. Chaik's room. She paused. She breathed in deeply. She adjusted the gift bag in her hand. Her voice shook a little as she whispered to herself, "This is it, Kamsi. Be calm. Knock softly. Smile nicely." She raised her hand toward the door. A tiny smile touched her lips. "I can't wait to see his face." She didn't know that the moment she knocked, her entire world would change. But for now, she stood there, full of love, full of hope, full of the belief that her husband would be happy to see her. Her hand hovered over the door. Kamsi's hand was still raised in the air, ready to knock softly. She stood in the hotel hallway with her gift bag in one hand and the bag of food in the other. Her heart felt warm, and her smile was gentle. She was truly excited. She even imagined herself saying, "Surprise," with a shy laugh. But before her knuckles touched the door, something made her pause. There was a sound inside the room. At first it was soft, like someone moving around, maybe shifting on the bed. Then she heard a tiny giggle, a woman's giggle, and her smile slowly faded. She blinked, confused, thinking her ears were playing tricks on her. She leaned closer. The giggle came again. Clear. Loud enough. A woman. Kamsi frowned softly. "Maybe it's the TV," she whispered to herself, trying to calm her own heartbeat. She listened again, hoping it was really just a movie. But then she heard music too, soft Afrobeats playing from inside the room. She recognized the song. It was a love song Chaik liked. He used to play it when they cooked dinner together. He used to hold her waist from behind and say, "This song reminds me of you." Now that same song was playing in the hotel room. Kamsi's fingers tightened around the handle of the food bag. She swallowed slowly, trying to keep her breathing steady. She didn't want to jump to conclusions. She didn't want to think that something bad was happening. She didn't want her mind to go to a dark place. But then she heard something she could not explain away. A woman's voice whispered, "Stop, you're making me blush," followed by another soft giggle. Kamsi felt her stomach drop. Her heartbeat grew louder in her ears. She blinked again and again, trying to shake off the fear rushing into her chest. "This can't be," she whispered. "No, no." She pressed her ear gently against the door. She didn't want to, but she needed to know if what she heard was real. She needed to be sure. She held her breath. And then Chaik's voice came from inside, low and playful. "Come here, baby. You're not going anywhere." The word baby hit her like a stone. Her hand shook. The gift bag almost slipped. Her lips parted slowly in shock. She pulled her ear away from the door and stared at it as if it had insulted her. She felt heat rising in her chest, but she was too stunned to cry. Her thoughts were spinning so fast she couldn't grab one properly. Her mind whispered, maybe it's not him. Maybe he's watching something. Maybe she is a hotel worker. Maybe this is a misunderstanding. But the moment those thoughts came, another voice rose inside her, louder, sharper. You know his voice. You heard him clearly. She tried to breathe, but her chest was tight. Her hands felt cold. Her legs felt weak. She took a tiny step back, unsure of what to do next. She raised her shaky hand again, not to knock, but to touch the door lightly, as if touching it would somehow calm her down. But touching it only made her more aware of what was behind it. She whispered his name softly under her breath. Chaik, what are you doing? Just then, she heard another laugh from the woman inside, louder this time. Then the sound of something shifting, like someone climbing onto a bed or moving closer to someone. Kamsi almost dropped the food again. She closed her eyes tightly. Tears filled her lashes. But she forced them not to fall. She didn't want to cry yet. She wanted to stand. She wanted to breathe. She wanted the world to stop shaking under her feet. Then another voice, Chike's, came through the door again. This time the words were clearer, sharper, and straight from his lips. "Next week, we leave Nigeria together," he said in a low, happy tone. Kamsi's eyes flew open wide. He continued talking inside, not knowing his wife was standing right outside. "Don't worry about my wife," he said. "I'll dump her very soon." That sentence entered Kamsi's chest like a knife. She stumbled backward and leaned against the opposite wall, shocked, frozen, broken, unable to move. Her breath left her body completely. She felt empty, like something had been pulled out of her. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. The bag of food she carried trembled in her hand. The steam rising from the container suddenly felt like nothing. The gift bag, with the wristwatch she worked so hard to buy, felt heavier than ever. She pressed her back against the wall and slowly slid down until she was almost sitting on the floor. Her eyes stared at the carpet, but she wasn't really seeing anything. She was just trying not to fall apart. She whispered, "He said he will dump me." Hearing her own voice made her chest shake. Her lips trembled. Her heart felt like it was breaking into small pieces one by one. She closed her eyes again, and tears finally rolled down her cheeks silently. She didn't wipe them. She didn't move her hands. She just sat there, letting the tears fall. After a few seconds, she forced herself to wipe her face. She didn't want to cry loudly in the hallway. She didn't want anyone to see her. She didn't want anyone to ask questions. She took small breaths and tried to stand. When she finally managed to get up, her legs felt weak, like they didn't want to carry her. But she leaned on the wall and took another slow breath. Her mind was screaming for answers. Why is he with another woman? Why is he calling her baby? Why is he planning to run away? How long has this been going on? Is this why he has been distant? Is this why he hides his phone? Is this why he avoided me? Every question hurt like a slap. Her hands shook again as she moved closer to the door. She didn't know why she moved forward. Maybe she wanted to open it. Maybe she wanted to run in and scream. Maybe she wanted proof with her own eyes. But when she reached the door again, her hand froze in the air. All the love she brought, the food, the gift, the excitement, felt like a joke now. A painful one. She pressed her ear to the door again, slower this time. Her breath caught in her throat. She heard kissing sounds. She heard clothes rustling. She heard soft whispers and laughter. Everything inside her broke again and again. She whispered shakily, "I came to surprise you, and this is what I meet." Her tears fell again, landing on the hotel carpet. She lifted her hand to wipe her face, but her hands were shaking too much. She tried to swallow, but her throat felt tight. Her heart whispered something painful. "He didn't expect you to be here. That is why he is doing this." Then another voice inside her whispered, "You need to know the truth. You have to see what is happening." She looked at the door handle slowly. She hesitated. Her breathing grew heavier, louder, but she tried to silence it. Her hand moved toward the handle, then stopped halfway. She took one long breath. "No, not yet," she whispered. "I need to be calm." She stepped back again. She wiped her face again. She looked at the door with new eyes. Her next words were soft but filled with deep pain. "Chike, how could you do this to me?" Kamsi stood there, frozen in the hallway, her hands still half raised, her breath shaking in and out of her chest. The sounds behind the door continued. Soft laughter, kissing noises, the rustling of the bed sheets. Every sound stabbed her heart again. She whispered weakly, "I can't believe this. Chike, why?" The food bag in her right hand was shaking so much she had to place it on the floor to stop it from falling. The gift bag felt too heavy to hold, like it carried the weight of her whole marriage. She leaned on the wall for a few seconds, closing her eyes and breathing slowly, trying not to break down again. But the truth was too close, too loud, too painful. She needed to know. She needed to see the truth, not just hear it. She slowly wiped her tears with trembling fingers, straightened her back, and whispered, "I need to know. I need to see what he is doing." She didn't even know where the courage came from. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the years of love she had poured into her marriage. Maybe it was the need to understand why the man she trusted was inside a hotel room with another woman. But something inside her pushed her forward. Her hand moved toward the door again, but this time she didn't stop halfway. She placed her palm on the handle. The metal felt cold, almost biting against her skin. She whispered to herself, "Just look, then leave." She pushed down the handle very slowly. To her shock, the door wasn't locked. It opened a little on its own, just enough for a thin line of light to escape into the hallway. Her heart almost jumped out of her chest. She wanted to stop, she wanted to run, she wanted to scream, but she kept going. She pushed the door open a little more. The room came into view. The soft yellow lights, the white bed sheets, the large mirror on the wall, the room service trays on the table. And then she saw them. Chaik, on the bed, holding a woman very closely. Her breath disappeared completely. She froze where she stood. Her body refused to move. Her eyes went wide, almost like they were trying to escape from her head. Chaik did not see her. The woman did not see her. They were too busy. The woman was lying partly on top of him, her hands on his face, kissing him slowly and laughing. Chaik was smiling like he hadn't smiled with Kamsi in months. And then the woman lifted her head a little, and Kamsi saw her clearly. Her heart broke again. It was Amora, her old friend, her sister-like friend, the friend she once shared secrets with, the friend she borrowed money to in school, the friend she welcomed into their home many times. Kamsi's vision blurred with new tears. She whispered so softly that only she could hear it, "Amora, you." Her eyes widened even more when Amora said, with a small laugh, "You are too sweet, Chaik. I can't believe you're finally choosing me." And Chaik replied, holding her waist, "I should have chosen you long ago. I feel alive with you." Kamsi's hand flew to her mouth. She bent her knees a little, almost falling, but she grabbed the wall beside her to steady herself. Her breath grew sharp and uneven. She whispered again, "How could you do this, Amora? How could you do this to me, Chaik?" But they still didn't hear her. They kept kissing, laughing, touching, whispering things that burned her heart. Something inside Kamsi broke in a quiet, painful way. It was the kind of pain that doesn't scream. It sinks. It sinks deep and sits there like a heavy stone. She stepped back slightly, but the movement made the door creak softly. The sound was tiny, but to Kamsi, it felt like thunder. She held her breath sharply. She pressed her body flat against the wall, hoping they didn't hear. But they didn't notice. They were too lost in each other. A new wave of humiliation hit her. The kind that makes your skin feel hot and cold at the same time. Her fingers trembled as she slowly reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. She didn't even think about it. Her hand just moved. Some part of her brain was still working even though her heart felt dead. She opened her camera with shaky fingers. She whispered, "You need proof. You need to remember this. You need the truth." She raised the phone just enough to see the screen. She pressed record. Her breathing was soft, shaky, and almost silent. The tiny red recording dot blinked at the top of her phone. Her hands trembled, but she kept the camera steady. On the screen, Chaik and Amora continued their betrayal. It looked worse through the camera. More real, more cruel. It felt like watching her marriage burn in front of her. She zoomed in slowly, capturing Chaik's face smiling, Amora's hands on his chest, the way they held each other, the way they kissed without shame, the way their voices mixed together. Every second hurt, but she recorded every second. She needed evidence. She needed the truth. She needed to protect herself. The room was quiet except for their laughter and kissing sounds. Kamsi's breathing was the only thing shaking in the background. Then Amora laughed loudly and said, "So when exactly are you leaving her?" Chaik smiled and said, "Soon. Very soon. Maybe even before next month." She's too soft. She won't fight back. Kamsi almost dropped the phone. Her whole body shook. She whispered, "I won't fight, but I won't stay either." Her tears rolled freely down her face now, but she kept recording. She didn't wipe them. She didn't move. Then Amora asked, "Are you really serious about leaving Nigeria with me next week?" Chike replied without hesitation, "Yes. You and I will start a new life. Forget her. She'll survive." Kamsi felt like someone punched her in the stomach. She gasped softly, pressing her hand to her chest to steady herself. She whispered brokenly, "After everything I did for you, after everything I gave you." But she did not enter the room. She did not shout. She did not break anything. She did not expose herself. She just stood there quietly, broken but strong enough to hold the phone steady. She recorded the betrayal until she had seen enough to last her a lifetime. Finally, she stopped the recording. She stepped back slowly, very slowly, making sure the door closed quietly without making a sound. When the door clicked shut, she almost collapsed again. Her body slid down the wall, and she sat on the hallway carpet, shaking, crying silently. The gift bag and food were still on the floor where she had left them. She stared at them for a long moment. The food she made with love. The gift she saved for. The surprise she planned with joy. Now they looked useless, pointless, painful. She whispered to herself, "I can't go inside. I can't face them. I need to leave. I need to think." She picked up the bags with slow, weak hands. Her tears blurred her vision, but she forced herself to stand. With one last silent look at the door, she whispered, "You have destroyed everything yourself." Then she turned and walked away quietly. She didn't look back. She didn't breathe until she reached her own hotel room. She closed the door behind her, locked it, and let the weight of what she saw finally fall on her completely. Kamsi closed the door of her hotel room behind her and leaned her back against it. For a few seconds, she could not move. She could not breathe well. She could not even think straight. Her whole body felt weak, like all her strength had poured out of her in the hallway. Her hands were still shaking, the gift bag hanging loosely from her fingers. She slowly dropped it on the floor. The food bag slid off her other hand and landed near her feet with a soft thud. She swallowed hard, but her throat felt tight. Tears rolled down her face in a silent stream. She didn't try to stop them this time. She didn't want to pretend anymore. She let herself cry the way a quiet heart cries, without sound, without shouting, just pain flowing like water. After a long moment, she slid down the door until she was sitting on the floor with her knees bent. She wrapped her arms around her legs and buried her face in her knees. Her whole body shook lightly as she breathed in and out. Her voice was small and broken as she whispered, "Why? Why me? Why would you do this to me? Chike? What did I do wrong?" But no one answered. Only the empty room listened. She sat there for a long time, feeling the weight of everything she saw. Every image of Chike touching Amora replayed in her mind. Every whisper, every laugh, every kiss hit her like a fresh wound. The betrayal felt hot and sharp, like something inside her had cracked open. But with every tear that fell, something else slowly began to rise inside her, something she didn't expect. It started as a small, quiet thought. "You need to stand up," she whispered to herself. She lifted her head slowly from her knees. Her eyes were red and swollen, but there was a spark behind them now, a tiny spark that was not there before. She wiped her face with the back of her hand and took a shallow breath. Then she took another. "You need to think," she whispered again. She pushed her palms against the floor and forced herself to sit up straight. Her body felt heavy, but she didn't let that stop her. She wiped her eyes again, this time slower, calmer. Then she reached for her purse with trembling fingers. She pulled the zipper open and took out her phone. Her hands shook as she held it, but she forced herself to steady them. She unlocked the screen and opened the video she had recorded. The moment the video started playing, she felt a wave of pain hit her again. She almost closed it, but she kept watching. She made herself watch. She wanted to see clearly. She wanted to face the truth. She watched Chike smile, She watched Amora laugh. She watched their hands on each other. She heard their whispers, their promises, their lies. Every second felt like sandpaper rubbing against her heart. But she did not look away. She kept her eyes on the screen until the video ended. When it was over, she placed the phone on the bed and covered her face with her hands. She whispered slowly, "This is real. This is not a dream. This is what he did. This is who he is." The pain was still there, deep and heavy, but something else was rising with it. Clarity. "Yes," she whispered. "I have the truth now." She sat up straighter. "Now I need to decide what to do with it." A cold calmness began to spread through her chest. Her breathing became slower. Her tears stopped. Her eyes cleared. Something inside her shifted from heartbreak to strength. She looked around the room slowly, as if seeing it for the first time. The quiet air suddenly felt different. The lights looked brighter. The silence felt stronger. Then she whispered softly but firmly, "I won't fight you. I won't shout. I won't beg. But you will not destroy me." She stood up slowly. Her legs still felt weak, but her back was straighter. She walked to the small desk in the corner of the room and pulled out the chair gently. She sat down and placed her phone beside her. Then she reached for the hotel notepad and pen, but she paused. "No," she whispered. She didn't need the notepad. She needed her laptop. She took a deep breath, stood again, walked to her suitcase, and pulled out the slim silver laptop she packed earlier. She placed it on the desk, opened the lid, and waited for it to turn on. As the screen lit up, she whispered to herself, "This is not the night I expected, but this is the night I become someone new." She opened her email app. The soft glow of the screen reflected on her face. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard. She began typing slowly, carefully, making sure each word was clear. "Good morning. I believe you should see this before tomorrow's meeting." She attached the video she recorded. Her hands shook slightly as she clicked the attach button, but she didn't stop. When the file finished uploading, she stopped typing and read over the email silently. Then she saved it as a draft. She did not send it yet. She whispered, "It must be sent at the right time, when everyone is there, when it will hurt the most." She leaned back in the chair and closed her eyes for a moment. She breathed deeply. "This is not revenge," she whispered. "This is truth." She opened her eyes, and there was something new inside them, determination. She looked toward the small table where she dropped the food she cooked with love. The containers were still warm, wrapped carefully. The roasted chicken she made for Chaik was now just sitting there, untouched. She stared at it for a long moment, then shook her head slowly. "He doesn't deserve this," she whispered. "He doesn't deserve anything from me." She stood up and pushed the food away slightly. She wasn't angry anymore, not in a loud way. She was calm, too calm. The kind of calm that comes after you have accepted a truth so painful it can't hurt you any more than it already has. She walked to the window and pulled the curtain aside. Abuja's nightlights glowed softly outside. Cars moved below, tiny and distant. The world felt far away and close at the same time. She whispered softly to herself, "I trusted you, Chaik. I trusted you with everything." Her voice didn't shake this time. It sounded steady, almost strong. She placed her hand on the window glass and stared at her reflection. Her eyes were swollen, her cheeks shiny with dried tears, but she didn't look weak anymore. She looked like someone who had been broken, and was still standing. She whispered, "You think I am soft. You think I will not fight back. You think I will just cry and keep quiet." She shook her head slowly. "No, not this time." She stepped away from the window and sat back at the desk. She checked the email draft one more time. Then she checked the time on her phone, 11:46 p.m. She set her alarm for 6 a.m. 6 a.m. was the time Chaik's company usually gathered for early morning reviews and final meeting checks. She whispered, "That is when you will fall." She placed her phone beside her pillow and turned off the lights, leaving only the soft glow from a bedside lamp. She lay down slowly on the bed and covered herself with the blanket. Her eyes stared at the ceiling. They were no longer full of tears. They were full of purpose. She whispered one last time before closing her eyes, "Tomorrow will be different. I will be different." And slowly, with a heart still hurting but a mind getting sharper, she let herself fall asleep. Kamsi's alarm rang at exactly 6 a.m. The soft sound shook her awake instantly. Her eyes opened wide, not slowly the way a tired person wakes up, but sharply, like someone who knew today was important. She blinked, breathed in deeply, and pushed herself up into a sitting position. Her heart was calm. Her mind was clear. Her chest no longer felt heavy the way it did the night before. She sat on the edge of the bed for a few seconds, letting the quiet morning settle around her. The hotel room was dim, with only a small line of sunlight touching the curtain edges. The world outside felt peaceful, almost too peaceful considering what she was about to do. She whispered softly to herself, "It is time." She stood up, walked slowly to the bathroom, and washed her face. The cold water touched her skin and made her feel awake and steady. Her reflection in the mirror looked different. Her eyes were still a little swollen, but there was no confusion in them anymore. There was only focus. She whispered to her reflection, "You are stronger than you think." She walked back to the desk, opened her laptop, and sat down. Her breathing grew calm as she clicked on her email drafts. The message was still there, waiting. "Good morning. I believe you should see this before today's meeting." Her eyes moved to the video attachment. She clicked it to make sure it worked. The betrayal played on the screen again, but this time she did not cry. She did not shake. She did not fall apart. She only watched for a few seconds, then stopped the video and closed it. She whispered, "This will speak for itself." Her finger hovered over the send button for a moment. She took one more slow breath. Then she tapped it. The message flew out instantly, straight to the CEO, the HR manager, his direct boss, his project team, his company partners, and the board member arriving for the big meeting. She closed her laptop gently and whispered, "It is done." There was no anger in her voice, no revenge, just truth. She stood up slowly and packed her things. She placed her laptop in her bag, wore a simple dress, and brushed her hair into a low ponytail. She didn't want to look dramatic. She wanted to look normal, calm, collected. After packing, she sat on the bed again and held her phone. She didn't call anyone. She didn't message anyone. She didn't panic. She simply sat quietly and waited. While she waited, she pictured how the morning was unfolding for Chaik. She pictured him waking up in the hotel room beside Amora. She pictured him stretching his arms and looking at the clock. She pictured him rushing into the bathroom to prepare for his big meeting. She pictured him checking his notes, rehearsing his lines, wearing his best suit, and feeling proud of himself. He had no idea what was coming, and she didn't feel guilty about that. She whispered, "You created your own ending, Chaik." She picked up the leftover food she had cooked the day before and walked it to the small bin. She dropped it inside without a second thought. The sound of the plastic hitting the bin felt like closure. She sat on the bed again and waited. At exactly 6:32 a.m., her phone buzzed. She picked it up quickly. It wasn't Chaik. It was a red receipt, an email notification. The CEO had opened the email. HR had opened it. His direct boss had opened it. The board member had opened it. More red receipts came one after another. Her heart beat a little faster, not from fear, but from anticipation. She whispered, "Now they know." She leaned back on the pillow behind her and closed her eyes, imagining the scene unfolding in the company's meeting room. Inside the company building, Chaik walked into the conference room holding his laptop and files. He looked confident, proud, like a man ready to receive a promotion. He walked in with a small smile and greeted everyone. "Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone." But the room was silent, completely silent. The CEO did not greet him. His boss did not smile. Nobody even nodded at him. Everyone just stared. Chaik stopped walking. His smile dropped a little. He blinked, confused. "Is everything okay?" The CEO spoke first. His voice was cold. "Sit down, Chaik." Chaik swallowed, nodded slowly, and sat in the chair closest to him. His hands felt sweaty. He placed them under the table. His boss clicked on something on the big screen. A video opened. The room lights dimmed a little. The video began to play. Chaik froze. It was him. His face. His voice. His hands on Amora. His own betrayal. Everyone watched silently. Nobody blinked. Nobody looked away. Chaik's heart raced as the video showed every detail. "Come here, baby. I should have chosen you long ago. Don't worry about my wife. I'll dump her very soon. We leave Nigeria together next week." His body grew cold. His mouth hung open. His throat tightened. The video ended. The room remained silent for a long moment. Chaik looked around slowly, his eyes wide, his face pale. "Sir, I can explain. I can." The CEO cut him off sharply. "Explain what? That you are cheating on your wife? That you are planning to abandon her? That you are using company money to fund a secret trip?" Chaik's eyes widened even more. "I never used." His boss shouted, "Stop lying." Everyone stared at him with disappointment, anger, and disgust. His team lead said, "If you can betray your wife like this, you can betray the company even faster." The board member shook his head slowly. "You are not someone we can trust." The CEO stood up. "Security." 2 security guards walked into the room immediately. The CEO pointed at Chaik. "Collect his laptop. His ID card. Escort him out." Chaik panicked. He stood up quickly. "Sir, please. It was a mistake. Please give me a chance. Please." The CEO raised a hand. "Leave." His voice was final. Cold. Sharp like a knife. Chaik turned to his boss. "Sir, please. I have worked here for years. You know me. Please." His boss looked at him like he was a stranger. "Leave." The guards stepped forward. Chaik tried to pull back. "Please. Let me explain everything. Please." One guard took his laptop. The other took his company ID. The whole room watched him fall apart. He covered his face with his hands, shaking. "I swear, I didn't mean to." "Leave now," the CEO said again. The guards escorted him out. The conference room door closed behind him. And with that, his entire career ended. Back in the hotel room, Kamsi opened her eyes as her phone buzzed again. She checked the notification. Another read receipt. Another. And another. Then her lips curved into a small, tired, but strong smile. She whispered, "They saw it." She stretched her legs slowly and stood up. Her hands no longer trembled. Her chest no longer felt like it was breaking. She whispered again, "You will not hurt me again, Chaik." She walked to her suitcase, zipped it closed, lifted it from the floor, and placed her bags near the door. She didn't rush. She didn't panic. She didn't cry. She simply prepared to leave. The truth was already delivered. His downfall had already begun. And Kamsi was finally ready to walk away. Kamsi rolled her suitcase toward the door of her hotel room, her mind steady and calm. She paused for a moment before stepping out. She wasn't rushing. She wasn't scared. She wasn't confused. She whispered softly, "Let everything happen as it should." She opened the door, pulled her suitcase with her, and walked down the quiet hallway. The morning air inside the hotel felt cool against her skin, almost like the building itself was peaceful for her. She reached the elevator, pressed the button, and waited. As she waited, her phone buzzed, but she didn't check it yet. She wanted to be calm first. The elevator doors opened with a soft sound. She stepped inside and took one deep breath as the doors closed. She watched the numbers change as the elevator carried her down. She felt like she was traveling down and up at the same time. Down from her marriage, up into her power. When the elevator reached the ground floor, she walked out, wheeled her suitcase to the lobby, and checked out at the front desk. The receptionist smiled politely, not knowing the storm that had passed through Kamsi's life. The receptionist said, "Safe journey, Ma." Kamsi nodded. "Thank you." She stepped outside, and the warm Abuja morning touched her face. She stood there for a moment, letting the sunlight rest on her skin. The world felt open, wide, and quiet. She felt like she could breathe again. Then her phone buzzed again. This time she checked. It was a message from an unknown number. "Please, I need to talk to you. It's urgent." She knew instantly who it was. Chaik. She didn't reply. She slid her phone back into her purse. She whispered softly, "You're not my problem anymore." Meanwhile, inside the company building, Chaik stood outside the conference room, shaking, confused, sweating heavily. The two security guards stood in front of him, blocking his path like a wall. Chaik cried out, "Please, I need to explain to them. Please let me go back in." One of the guards shook his head. "Sir, you need to leave the building." "But I can fix this. I swear I can fix this." Chaik yelled, his voice breaking. "I didn't mean anything in that video. It wasn't what it looked like." The guard looked at him with pity. "Sir, they said you're no longer allowed inside." Chaik's breathing grew fast and sharp. He placed his hands on his head and whispered, "My job, my life, everything is gone." He tried to push past the guards, but they held him firmly. "Sir, calm down," the second guard said firmly. "Please just walk with us. I can't lose this job." Chaik cried, "Please, please, I beg you." "Let's go," the guard said again. Chaik felt his legs weaken. His body felt cold. He looked down at his hands, the same hands that had held Amora the night before, and they suddenly felt dirty to him. "I'm finished," he whispered, his voice cracking. The guards walked him toward the main exit. He saw his co-workers staring at him from their desks, from the hallway, from behind glass doors. Some whispered to each other. Some shook their heads. Some didn't even bother to hide their disappointment. One woman gasped when she saw him without his ID badge. Another man whispered loudly, "So this is the kind of person he really is." His closest friend in the office looked at him with pain on his face and said softly, "Chaik, why did you do this?" Chaik broke down again. "Please, listen to me." But the guards pulled him away. Chaik walked through the building like someone walking through a nightmare. Every step felt heavy. Every stare felt like it was stabbing him. Every whisper felt like a slap. He kept saying, "Please, I can fix it. I can explain," but nobody listened. When they reached the front door, one guard opened it and said quietly, "Good luck, sir. But you need to leave." The second guard handed Chaik a small brown envelope containing the few personal items that had been on his desk. A pen, a small notebook, a picture of him and Kamsi from their second anniversary. Chaik stared at the picture for a long moment. His eyes filled with tears. He whispered, "Kamsi, oh God." The guards nodded politely and walked back inside, leaving him standing alone outside the building. The sun felt too hot on his skin. He felt exposed. He felt empty. He felt lost. He touched his pockets, searching for his wallet, but then remembered, his wallet was in his laptop bag. The same laptop that was taken from him 5 minutes earlier. He whispered shakily, "What am I going to do?" His phone buzzed. He pulled it out quickly. It was Amora. He answered immediately. "Hello, Amora. Please, something happened. I lost my job. I need you. Please." But Amora's voice came through the phone sounding angry and scared. "Chaik, what is this video your wife sent? My boss saw it. I'm in trouble. My job is at risk," she shouted. Chaik blinked fast. "What? Your job too?" "Yes." Amora cried. "They said I embarrassed the company. They said I am unprofessional. They said I broke work rules. You have destroyed my life." "Wait, Amora, please, don't talk like that." She cut him off, her voice shaking with fear and anger. "Don't ever call me again. Don't text me. Don't come near me. I don't want to see you again. This is your fault." Then she hung up. The call ended. Chaik stared at the phone screen, shocked. His mouth fell open slightly. His heart pounded painfully in his chest. He whispered, "Even you? After everything? Even you?" He tried calling her again. Switched off. He tried again. Still switched off. He felt something crumble inside him. He whispered to himself, "I lost my wife. I lost my job. I lost her too. I lost everything." Back at the hotel, Kamsi sat in the hotel cafe, sipping a cup of warm tea while waiting for the taxi she ordered. The cafe was quiet, with soft music playing. She felt calm, almost too calm, like she was still floating inside her own mind. Her phone buzzed again. She checked. Chaik was calling. She blocked the number without thinking twice. Another message arrived from another unknown number. "It's me. Please pick up. Please, I am begging you." She didn't reply. Another message came. "I lost my job. They fired me. I need you. Please answer me." She read the message slowly. Then she placed the phone face down on the table and whispered, "You didn't need me yesterday." She continued drinking her tea. Meanwhile, Chaik sat on the ground outside the company building, holding his head in his hands. Cars passed by, but he didn't care. People walked past, but he didn't move. His eyes were red, his breathing heavy, his clothes wrinkled. He looked like a man who had aged 10 years in one morning. He pulled his phone out again and typed desperately, "Kamsi, please, don't do this. I need to talk to you. Please don't leave me." He sent the message. He waited. No reply. He sent another message. "I made a mistake. I am sorry. I swear I am sorry." Then another. "Please answer me. Please." Still no reply. His voice cracked as he whispered, "Kamsi, please." He tried calling again. Call failed. He tried again. Call blocked. He dropped the phone on the ground beside him and covered his face with both hands. Tears rolled down his chin and fell on the pavement. He whispered through shaking breath, "I am finished." Back at the cafe, Kamsi's taxi arrived. She stood up slowly, her mind calm, her chest strong. She whispered, "It is time to go home." She wheeled her suitcase toward the taxi, placed it inside the trunk, and sat in the back seat. She didn't look back at the hotel. She didn't need to. Everything she needed to say had already been sent in one email. Everything she needed to end had already ended. Her lips parted gently as she whispered to herself, "You will not hurt me again." The taxi drove off. The taxi ride back to Lagos felt strangely quiet for Kamsi. She sat in the back seat with her hands resting on her lap, her eyes watching the passing streets but not really seeing anything. She didn't feel angry. She didn't feel scared. She didn't feel confused. She just felt done. Done with the lies. Done with the disrespect. Done with giving everything and receiving nothing. She whispered softly, "Let me just get home. That is all I need." The driver glanced at her through the mirror once and asked gently, "Madam, hope all is well." Kamsi gave a tiny smile. "I'm fine." But even the driver could hear the heaviness in her voice. He didn't ask again. By the time she reached her neighborhood, the sun had already climbed higher, lighting up every roof and tree. Everything looked normal, almost peaceful. Like the world didn't know a storm had passed through her heart. She paid the driver, thanked him quietly, and wheeled her suitcase toward the front door of her home. Her steps were steady, not rushed. She didn't shake. She didn't pause. She unlocked the door and stepped inside. The quiet hit her immediately. The house felt empty, but not in a lonely way. It felt like a space waiting for her to breathe again. She closed the door behind her gently and whispered, "This is my home. I deserve peace." She walked to the bedroom and opened her wardrobe. She didn't look at anything for long. She didn't hesitate. She knew exactly what she came to do. She pulled out her suitcases, opened them wide, and began to pack. Slowly, carefully, but surely. Clothes she bought with her own money. Shoes she loved. Books she read at night. Files of her work. Her small jewelry box. Her hair care products. Everything that belonged to her. She folded each item neatly and placed it into her bags. There was no music playing. No crying. No shaking. Just the quiet sound of zippers, boxes, drawers opening and closing. Halfway through packing, her phone buzzed again. "Chike, please, I am begging you. Talk to me." She ignored it. Another message came. "Chike, I am outside your building. Please open the door." She paused for a moment. Her heart beat a little faster, but not from fear. From readiness. She whispered calmly, "No, not yet." She continued packing until everything she owned was neatly arranged in her suitcases. She zipped them closed and took one last slow look around the room. Her side of the wardrobe was empty. Her dressing table was empty. Her shoes were gone. Her things were gone. Only Chike's belongings remained where he left them. She whispered, "Let him come back to this emptiness." She walked to the living room and placed the gift bag, the one holding the wristwatch she bought for him, on the dining table. She put the gift right in the center where he would see it immediately. Then she placed the food she made yesterday beside it. Even though it had gone cold and dry, she left it there. It was a message. Beside the food and the gift, she placed a white envelope. Inside the envelope was her divorce letter. Now everything was set. She picked up her suitcase handles and dragged them to the corner of the living room. She wanted everything ready for when she walked out. Just as she finished organizing her things, she heard loud banging on the front door. "Kamsi, open the door. Please open the door." Chike shouted from outside. His voice was breaking, almost panicked. Kamsi did not move. "Kamsi, I am begging you. Please talk to me," he yelled again, knocking harder. She still didn't move. Inside the house, she stayed calm and silent. Outside the house, he sounded like someone losing their mind. "Kamsi, open this door. Please. I need to explain. Please don't do this to me." She walked toward the door slowly, but she did not unlock it. She just stood there, looking at the wooden surface that separated them. She whispered softly, "You did this to yourself." He knocked again and again. His voice grew louder, more desperate. "Kamsi, please. Everything is gone. My job is gone. Amora left me. I am finished. Please, I need you." The words hit her heart, but not the way he expected. They didn't make her pity him. They only reminded her of what she suffered last night while he was laughing in someone else's arms. She whispered, "You didn't need me yesterday." After a few more minutes of banging and shouting, he suddenly stopped. Silence filled the house. Kamsi waited quietly. She didn't breathe too loudly. Then she heard the sound of keys jingling. Her heart jumped slightly. He still had his own copy of the house keys. But when he tried to open the door, he discovered something. The key wouldn't turn. Kamsi had changed the lock before traveling to Abuja. She had forgotten about that until now, but she was grateful. He tried again, and again, and again, but the door did not open. "Why isn't this opening?" Chike shouted in confusion. "Why did you change the lock? Kamsi, please open for me." She closed her eyes and whispered, "Because I needed safety." After a long moment, he stopped trying. She could hear his breathing on the other side of the door. Heavy, shaking, scared. "Kamsi, please. I am sorry," he whispered. His voice was weak now, almost like a child. "Please don't leave me. Please." Kamsi took one step back from the door. She didn't want to hear his voice anymore. It pulled memories. It pulled feelings. It pulled the past. She whispered strongly, "I can't go back to the past." She moved to the living room, pulled out her phone, and typed one short message to a friend who lived nearby. "I need a ride. I'm ready." Within 10 minutes, her friend arrived downstairs. Kamsi grabbed her suitcase handles and rolled them toward the door. She paused for a second, listening. Chike was still outside. "Kamsi, please don't go." His voice sounded like it was breaking apart. But she didn't open the door. She didn't speak. She didn't give him anything else. She simply rolled her suitcases quietly to the back door. The small back entrance connected to the balcony. She had her own spare key to that door. She unlocked it gently and stepped out. The morning sun touched her skin again. She whispered, "I'm free." Her friend rushed to help her carry some bags. "Kamsi, are you okay? What happened?" Kamsi didn't cry. She didn't shake. She simply said, "I'm done." As they walked down the back stairs to the car, she could still hear faint knocking at the front door. "Kamsi, please, don't leave me." But she didn't turn her head. She didn't look back. She didn't slow down. She placed her bags inside the car. Her friend closed the trunk and looked at her gently. "Do you want to go back inside and say something?" Kamsi shook her head. There is nothing left to say. She got into the car, closed the door, and sat back. Her friend started the engine. And just before the car drove off, Kamsi looked at the building for the last time and whispered, "This is your home, Chaik, but I'm not your wife anymore." The car pulled away. In that same moment, Chaik finally opened the front door, because a neighbor had helped him force it. He ran inside desperately, calling her name. "Kamsi, Kamsi, where are you? Please don't leave." He rushed into the bedroom. Her wardrobe was empty. He rushed to the living room. Then he froze. Right on the dining table, he saw the food she cooked, the gift she bought for him, the wristwatch he always wanted, and the divorce letter. He walked toward the table slowly, like someone walking toward a grave. He picked up the gift bag with shaking fingers. He opened it. He saw the watch. His heart sank. He picked up the divorce letter. His lips trembled as he opened it. He read the words. His hands began to shake violently. "No, no, no," he whispered, almost choking on his own breath. "Kamsi, please. Please no." His voice cracked completely. He dropped the letter on the table and fell to his knees. "Kamsi, please." But she was already gone. The car moved quietly through the streets as Kamsi sat in the back seat, staring out of the window. Her friend, Nena, kept glancing at her through the mirror, worried. "Kamsi, do you want to talk?" she asked softly. Kamsi shook her head. "Not yet." Nena nodded and focused on the road again. She didn't force anything. She knew Kamsi was holding herself together with the last bit of strength she had left. One wrong word could break her. After 30 minutes, they arrived at Nena's apartment complex. Kamsi stepped out slowly, her legs still feeling light, like she wasn't fully inside her own body yet. Nena carried one of the suitcases and placed it gently near the elevator. "Kamsi, you can stay with me as long as you want," she said with a warm voice. "My guest room is always empty. You don't need to worry about rent or anything." Kamsi nodded slowly. "Thank you. I just need a quiet place." They went upstairs together. The hallway was silent. When they entered the apartment, Nena turned on the lights and walked her into the small, calm guest room. It wasn't fancy, but it was peaceful. The bed was made neatly. The window curtains were clean. A soft rug covered the floor. Kamsi rolled her suitcase to the corner and sat on the bed. She breathed in deeply. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe. Nena stood at the door for a moment and said gently, "I'm in the living room if you need anything." Kamsi nodded. "Thank you." Nena closed the door quietly. For a long moment, Kamsi just sat on the bed staring at nothing. The silence felt heavy at first, almost too heavy. But slowly, something inside her began to settle. She whispered, "I'm free." She wasn't smiling. She wasn't crying. She was just breathing normally again, like she finally found space for oxygen in her chest. She lay down slowly on the bed and closed her eyes. At that exact moment, her phone buzzed. She sat up and reached for it, already knowing who it was. "Chaik, where are you? Please don't leave me like this." Another message. "Chaik, please come home. I am sorry. I swear I am sorry." Another. "Chaik, I can't live like this. My life is destroyed. Please talk to me." Kamsi read the messages with calm eyes. The pain she felt last night wasn't there anymore. Her heart didn't shake. Her chest didn't tighten. It was like she had stepped out of a burning house, and now she was watching it from far away. She deleted the messages without replying. Then she blocked his number fully. Her fingers didn't shake this time. She whispered softly, "You lost me the moment you chose her." Meanwhile, Chaik was still at home, sitting on the living room floor beside the dining table. His eyes were swollen from crying. His hair was messy. His hands were trembling. He kept picking up the divorce letter, reading it, and dropping it again like he wanted it to change, but it never did. He grabbed his phone again and typed her number. Number blocked. He tried again. Still blocked. He threw the phone across the room, breathing heavily. "Kamsi, please. Please don't do this, please." He crawled to the phone, picked it up, and tried calling her through WhatsApp. Blocked. He tried Telegram. Blocked. He tried using a different number. Message not delivered. He cried harder, whispering, "I have nothing left, nothing." He stood up suddenly and looked around the empty house. Her clothes were gone. Her shoes gone. Her books gone. Her scent gone. He shouted loudly, "Kamsi, come back!" No reply. He slammed his fist on the dining table. "Why did I do this? Why? Why?" His voice cracked as he fell to the chair and held his head in his hands. He remembered Amora. He dialed her number quickly. Switched off. He dialed again. Switched off. He dropped the phone again and whispered, "Everyone left me. Everyone." Back in Nena's apartment, Kamsi sat on the bed, breathing slowly. She opened her suitcase to take out her toiletries. As she arranged her things in the bathroom, her phone buzzed again, but it wasn't Chaik. She had already blocked him. It was a message from her lawyer. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Okoye. I reviewed the video and the details you sent. You have very strong grounds for divorce. This will favor you completely." Kamsi read the message carefully. Then she typed back, "Thank you. What is the next step?" The lawyer responded almost immediately. "We will file for divorce tomorrow morning. You will receive majority of the marital assets due to evidence of infidelity and emotional harm. He will receive nothing." Kamsi let out a slow breath she didn't know she had been holding. It was not happiness. It was not joy. It was relief. A deep, powerful relief. She whispered softly, "This is justice." She walked back to the bed and sat down again. The room felt brighter. Her mind felt clearer. Her heart felt lighter. She didn't want revenge. She wanted peace. And she finally had it. Hours later, as the day turned quiet again, Nena knocked gently on her door. "Kamsi, I made small soup and rice. Will you eat?" Kamsi smiled softly for the first time that day. "Thank you. I will try to eat." They sat together at the small dining table. Nena watched her like a protective sister, waiting to see if she would break again. But Kamsi didn't. She ate slowly and whispered, "I didn't think I would be able to swallow anything today." Nena smiled warmly. "You are stronger than you think." Kamsi looked down at her plate. "I didn't want to be strong like this. I just wanted my marriage to work." Nena touched her hand gently. "Sometimes God removes people to save us from pain." Kamsi nodded slowly. She wasn't crying. She was simply understanding. She whispered, "He didn't love me. He only loved what I gave him. And he lost all of it," Nena said softly. Kamsi took a deep breath. "Yes." After dinner, she went back to the guest room. She changed into simple pajamas, sat on the bed, and opened her laptop. She wasn't looking for distraction. She was checking her work emails, planning her life again, rebuilding. She whispered, "I still have myself. I still have my future." She lay down on the soft pillow and stared at the ceiling. She remembered how she had walked into her marriage with trust. She remembered how she loved Chaik with her whole heart. She remembered how she cooked, cared, prayed, worked, and gave. She remembered how he broke all of it in one night. Then she remembered something else, something far more important. She remembered how she stood up, how she recorded the truth, how she protected herself, how she walked away. She whispered proudly to herself, "I didn't stay broken." For the first time in 2 days, she smiled with her whole face. Not a big smile, not a loud one, but a real one. A soft, powerful smile of a woman who survived betrayal and walked out clean. She whispered, "Some heartbreaks don't kill you. They wake you up." Her eyes slowly closed. The room was quiet. Her breathing was gentle. Her heart was light. She drifted into sleep, peaceful, calm, and free. Meanwhile, Chaik lay on the cold living room floor crying silently into his hands. The house around him felt empty, ugly, and cold. He whispered brokenly, "Please come back, please." But there was no answer, only silence. Back in the guest room, Kamsi slept deeply, without fear, without pain, without worry. For the first time in a very long time, she felt safe. She whispered one final sentence before sleep pulled her completely. "I survived." And she did.
If you enjoyed this video, please share it so others can watch and learn from it too.